So that brings us to today's Consumer Alert. New analysis done by Clever Real Estate finds that in America, if you make minimum wage, you likely can't pay the rent. Not if you also want to eat and pay utilities and perhaps make car payments. Rochester is no exception. A Rochester mother I introduced to you earlier this year is evidence of that.
50, 60, 70.
These three siblings and their mother, Brianna Dunn, live here in this 3-bedroom Rochester duplex. And even though Brianna is college educated and works 2 jobs, money is tight. May I ask how much the rent is?
$18.75.
18. And while I'm shocked, analysis from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development indicates the fair market value for a 3-bedroom in Rochester is actually $1,895.
This one?
Yep, do it.
And Brianna is really struggling. When just the rent is half of your income and you have 3 kids, tell me what that's like.
It's difficult. It's difficult for sure. When you really have to budget down to the penny.
Government housing experts recommend that rent be no more than 30% of your gross income. But analysis by Clever Real Estate reveals that minimum wage workers can't afford rent in any of the country's largest cities. In fact, the study finds that in these 8 cities, 5 minimum wage workers would have to share a 1-bedroom to afford the monthly rent.
It's just really hard for people to make ends meet right now, especially if they're on minimum wage, especially the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25.
And 20 states do pay minimum wage workers $7.25 an hour. And not surprisingly, these states house the 8 cities in which minimum wage workers have the toughest time paying rent. While the minimum wage in Rochester is far higher, $16 an hour, Clever's findings were troubling. A minimum wage worker in Rochester would be $488 short of what they need to make to afford a 1-bedroom.
We found that it would have to be raised by about $10 to $26 an hour.
But he's making a video. I said steak cheese.
A wage that would help Brianna, but critics say would cripple the economy. So while there are no published records of the number of people making minimum wage here in Rochester, we know that about 1 in 4 of our Rochester neighbors live below the federal poverty line. It's one of the many reasons why I am always investigating ways to save. You can find this week's story on ways to save on groceries. That's in the consumer section of our website, WHEC.com.